not working today, and I was thinking I haven't uploaded a video in a while. I need to get more consistent with this, and a lot of the trouble of making these videos is coming up with ideas and things to talk about, and just, you know, making the time to sit down to make the video. It's really putting it together mentally for me has been the most challenging part. But one that I thought was interesting and that I think a lot of people would find interesting is sharing a little bit more about the New York State Department of Corrections. My name's Sawyer. I've done a 1 to 3 year sentence and a 2.5 year sentence. Altogether, I got about 4 years in the New York State Department of Corrections. Some of that's county time, but while it's not a ton of time compared to what a lot of people have done, it's enough time to really get a good idea of what the prison system's like and to learn a lot from those experiences. And but today I wanted to share with y'all Elmira Correctional Facility. You know, after scouring YouTube, I found that there's really not a whole lot of videos. There's a few guys from New York that talk about prison. You know, there's Saint Laz and Tales from the Hood, and there's a few other guys. But I wanted to, you know, not a whole lot from Western New York. There's one guy, Blood on the Razor Wire TV, Chad Marks. He's from Rochester, but he's done state time, but he's did most of his time in the feds. And he does talk about New York State some, but he talks more about the feds. So I wanted to share a bit more about what it's like for a lot of guys from Western New York that go upstate, they get processed, and go through the prison system in those beginning stages. So, you know, to clarify, that 1 to 3 was for a burglary. I had a youthful offender on it. It was something I did when I was 17. I tried stealing from a drug dealer, and I'll probably have to tell that story at some point. A woman sold pills. You know, I used to have a drug problem, pretty bad. You know, that's an ongoing battle. But of course, anyone that knows addiction, that's a lifetime struggle. But she sold pills in the community, and she didn't know me, and I didn't know her. So, you know, she wasn't selling me because she didn't know who I was, obviously. But I knew she sold. But I got caught up with that, and the 2.5. So I got a 1 to 3 for the burglary, and then the 2.5 I got for selling heroin to a police informant. A guy, he had like his 5th DWI, driving while intoxicated. He was looking at going to prison again. He'd already been to prison numerous times for drinking and driving, and in order to get out of it, he started setting people up with drug sales. You know, what's the old saying? Give us 3, we'll set you free. That's an old saying. Give us 3 people, you know, set up 3 people, we'll set you free. And I'm pretty sure he did that. It might have been more than 3, but it was 2 piddly little .1 bags I sold to him for 40 bucks, and that earned me 2.5 years in prison and 2.5 years post-release supervision. But anyway, so let's start off. So when you're in county, you go through the due process part of going to court. You know, when you first get arrested, you get arraigned, and, you know, initially I had gotten drug court, probation. They gave me opportunities on paper, as people call it. You know, there's different programs in New York called tasks, drug court, felony probation, things of that nature, which they gave me chances of those, which I screwed up over and over, giving dirty urines, going on the run, getting kicked out of treatment centers, all kinds of stuff, you know. And those will be more stories maybe for another time. But so, you know, when you're in county, you know, I'll speak on my first time going upstate, because that was the most shocking. I was only 20 years old, very green and naive when it came to the system. You know, put too much trust in people I shouldn't have. In there's certain things you should and shouldn't do, and I was kind of learning that on the fly. And fortunately, once I got to prison, there were some people that kind of took me under the wing and you know, broke down what prison's like and what to do and what not to do. But so the morning of, so, you know, you go through your court, you get sentenced, you do your PSI, your pre-sentence investigation, you get sentenced, blah, 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 blah. The morning of, Alright, so we'll go right into the prison part of it, or the first day. You know, you're sleeping in your cell in the pods in county jail. I was in Niagara County Jail. This is the county Niagara Falls, New York's in. They come around and they wake you up. You knock on your cell window or your cell door. Pannell, pack it up. You're going upstate this morning. So immediately, you know, you get the initial reaction is you get the butterflies in your stomach. And I'll just be honest, I've been preparing myself because I knew I was going to prison. And a lot of guys, they prepare themselves by saving up stamps. You know, like stamps that you put on an envelope to mail letters to your loved ones. And whenever you get to prison, stamps are a form of currency. And a lot of people like to save up stamps so that once they get to reception, for us, that's Elmira, you know, from guys from like New York City and like way upstate New York, like around Plattsburgh and Lake Placid. Those guys, most of those guys either go to Ulster Correctional Facility or downstate. And I think they recently closed downstate, so I think it's just Ulster and Elmira now. And Elmira's a maximum security prison, downstate's a maximum security prison, and Ulster's a medium. They'll only send guys to Ulster for, you know, processing and intake, classification, and all that. Guys that are like, you know, minimum and medium security guys. You know, guys from that downstate hub or that Plattsburgh hub of the state. So, you know, that morning, you know, you pack all your stuff up. You know, you go around the pods, sliding stuff under people's doors, stuff you're going to give away, your sweatpants, your radio, things that, you know, people you act cool with. You can't bring all that with you. But one thing I did bring, you know, things that you are allowed to bring with you are legal work and one Bible. And, which of course I brought those with me. But the other thing you can bring, but you have to suitcase it, or in New York State they call it boofing. Other states they call it keystering or suitcasing. You know, you get fingers from a glove from like the CO's, you know, desk, or the porter area. Those are the guys that like clean the pod and stuff like that. They're hired by the jail. You know, they get extra trays and benefits like that, but you get a pair of rubber gloves. You roll up the stamps really tight, and you put them in the fingers of a glove. You know, you triple, quadruple layer it, put some Vaseline or lotion on it, and up the, you know, where it goes. And once you get to reception, you have currency to buy tobacco. Some people buy coffee. The big thing, people like to smoke, you know. And back in those days, I smoked, you know. And, you know, in county jail, you're not allowed to smoke, so people want to have that whenever they touch down, you know. Of course, that's a luxury that everyone's looking forward to once you get to state prison, is smoking a cigarette. So, you know, I keister my, I think I had about 40 stamps, so that, you know, at that time, I think a pouch of top rolling tobacco, it's about, I think it's about an ounce of tobacco with 40 rolling papers. It was about 20 stamps. That might be different now. This is in 2009, the first time I went up. So, you know, it's been a while now. It's been 14 years since the first time I went. It might be more now. It might be less. Who knows? Probably more, if anything. But so I don't know if you give me 2 pouches of tobacco. But anyway, so I keister that. They take us downstairs to IPO, inmate processing office, they call it. They shackle you up, they put you in the black box, they put the chains around you, shackle your ankles. You know, there's a black box that they strap to your waist, so you can't really move your hands good, and they put you on a van. You load up in the Sally Port, which is where the area they bring inmates in, and they shuttle you out. And most of the time, you go to Wendy first to stay the night, but sometimes they'll take you straight to Elmira. Wendy Correctional is just outside of Buffalo. You'll go there, they'll shave your head, they'll give you a pair of greens and your boots, you know, your state greens and all that. But one of the times I went upstate, you know, they sent us straight to Elmira. So I want to get more into Elmira, because Wendy, you just stay the night there. It's very short. That's, you know, very, You know, they make you shampoo your hair with lice shampoo, and you know, like I said, you get your greens, they take your picture, you get an ID card, all that type of stuff. Nothing too crazy. But anyways, so the next morning, you generally shuttle up, you get, you know, at this point, you're a state inmate. No longer is the county shipping you, the state is shipping you at this point. So the next morning, we ship up, we load up, they put the chain around you, the black box that goes on your wrist, that's shackled to your waist. They put an ankle cuff on you and cuff you to a person, to another person. So your ankle's connected to their ankle. So, I mean, good luck trying to run when your ankle's strapped to someone else. So you have to like walk in unison with the person in sync. Otherwise, they will like pull on their ankle or yank on your ankle. It's kind of painful, you know, if you don't walk in harmony with each other. You know, you have to time your steps at the same time. It's very awkward. And God forbid you got to take a pee while you're on the bus. You got to get up and scoot to the back of the bus, and there's a toilet. You got to hold on and try not to fall over. Well, you can't even grab above. You got to try to hold on because you're shackled up like this and not fall over while you're peeing, and the guy's standing right behind you because he's shackled to you. It's just very awkward. So you get into Elmira, you get there, you're pulling up, and the first thing you see as you're pulling up, you just look up, and this place just looks like a giant castle. It's mind-blowing. You know, it's very intimidating. Very, when you think of prison in your brain, and like secure, dangerous-looking prisons, Elmira fully fits the description of what you would imagine in your brain. It's gigantic, huge facility, and out front there's a statue. They always, there's a naked guy. There's a guy standing naked. I think there's like a leaf covering his privates, and he's got his hands on a younger guy that's knelt down. And apparently Elmira used to be a youth prison. Back in the day, they sent like youth inmates there. It was primarily younger guys. Back in the day, it was a maximum security, which now that's Coxsackie. From my understanding, they send mostly younger guys to Coxsackie Correctional Facility. But Elmira used to be the youth max of the state, which that changed over the years. Now it's just a regular max, but they also do reception there. So you're pulling up, you see this place, and it's just staggering. I mean, you know, the guys that have been there before, they're kind of seasoned, they're used to it. They know what to expect. But your first trip up there, you're just mind blown, and your heart starts racing. And I think anyone that says they're not at least a little bit intimidated is a liar. A lot of people say, "Oh, I ain't scared." No, I think anyone that's truly honest with themselves, even if you're a fighter and you're not afraid to fight and get busy when it comes down to it, you're going to have a little bit of apprehension because it's new, it's foreign, you don't know what to expect, you don't know who's in there. You know, if you're a gang member, you don't know if your rival gang's there or if your people are there that you rock with. I never was in a gang. I was always neutral. You know, that's how I did my time. But I was 20. I looked, you know, I probably looked like a freaking 14-year-old in the face. I always had kind of a baby face. So, I mean, that kind of can work against you when you're in prison, you know what I mean? Because it just, you know, I mean, a lot of guys go in there, they grow out their facial hair to look more masculine. You don't want to look weak in any way, you know. And at that point, you know, I looked like a freaking boy, you know. Not a boy, I don't mean that in a gay way, but just like a kid, you know. I looked like a kid in the face. And so, you know, and at that point I was never a violent person. I didn't, you know, I didn't like fighting. You know, over the years I learned that sometimes you have to fight, and you know, you can't back down. That'll follow you. You know, if you're a person that's timid and punks out, it's everyone in that environment is going to prey upon you. Once you punk out once, people are going to see you as an easy mark, and you know, tons of people are going to target you. You're going to get extorted. You might have people try to sexually assault you. I mean, all kinds of bad things can come from that. So, anyways, you pull in, you pull through a gate. That gate closes behind you, and then you pull through a second gate, and that gate closes behind you. You come through the sally port, and this point you're inside the facility. You pull up to the draft building. They call it the draft building because that's where the draft is, when you are in movement from one facility to another. So if I'm going to Elmira to Attica, or Elmira to Bear Hill, or Elmira to Franklin, or Elmira to Fishkill, or wherever, Cayuga, you know, you're on the draft. From when you're on the bus in transit from one place to another, it's called being on the draft. So we pull up to the draft building. Everyone gets off. We have to walk, it said, in unison because you're shackled to someone. And they throw you in these big dog cages, and it's an all-day ordeal. You know, they take your pictures again. You know, you're sitting there all day. The SEALs there are very mean. They're not nice. They're probably trying to set that initial impression in you that you're not going to mess around here, or you're going to pay the price. And you could tell these guys by their demeanor, they will hurt you if you get out of line. And they make that clear. They tell you they will beat your ass. You know, pardon my French, try not to cuss on this channel much, but they will hurt you. And a lot of them carry wooden, you know, sticks, batons that are made of oak, and they're very hard, and they will hurt you very bad. Some of them have rubber bands, you know, for grip, you know, like around the handle. But I heard some of them, they'll have like different color ones. And apparently, some of those guards, for every rubber band they have on there, allegedly, that's each rubber band represents an inmate that they beat with the baton. So say they have 27 rubber bands on it, that means they beat 27 inmates with that baton before. It's kind of like their resume, so to speak. Or it kind of speaks for itself. You know, they try to use it as an intimidation thing, you know. Like, hey, don't mess around, or I will use this billy club on you. But, so, you spend all day getting processed. There's other people coming in from different counties. Like I said, some counties go straight from their county jail to Elmira. Some of us come from Wendy first, you know, because we're coming from the Buffalo area, right outside of Buffalo, New York. You know, but anyways, some of those guys are coming in their county oranges or in their street clothes. They're getting their heads shaved. They're doing the lice stuff that we all did at Wendy. Pictures taken, your height measured, weight, all that different stuff. And finally, you know, right around, you know, you eat your lunch down there. I'd say probably around 3 or 4 o'clock, you're finally done. They finally take you to A block. Some people go to B block. I'm trying to remember why some guys go to B block. I think there's like PC guys with sex cases and whatnot. They'll put them over there because it's more like a PC environment. There's less people over there. Or people that have like a more serious case. You know, they have to monitor them more closely, or like real big mental health issues. But most people get put on A block, and this is it. So A block, I'm going to describe what it's like when you first walk in here in a second, but A block is a giant, it's about the length of a football field. I would say it's about 100 yards long, roughly. It's 4 tiers high. A tier is a row of cells, and I would say, I can't remember the specific amount, I think there's about 44 cells. The first 2 cells on each tier are double bunked. They usually put parole violators in there, people that they know can be double bunked, like, safely, because some people like are too dangerous, or, you know, they fight if they get put in a double bunk. So it's usually parole violators that they know can be put in those cells, in the double bunks. So the first 2 cells of every block are double bunked, the rest are single cells. And it goes 4 high, and this is on both sides. There's, you know, so to your left and to your right, it goes 4 levels high. And so that's a total of 8 tiers altogether. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiers, you know, total. So you got about, if I had to say, I'd say there's probably about 350 men approximately on this cell block. So, I mean, you first walk in there, and I'm thinking about putting a picture of A block. You know, I was going to make my thumbnail a picture of A block, but I might do a picture of the front of the facility. But you walk in there, and the first thing you hear, you know, you're being led in by the CO, and there's 2 yellow striped lines going down the floor that that you have to walk in between. You're not allowed to go outside those lines. You walk in a straight single file line, and as soon as you walk through those doors, all you hear is new tracks, and you're walking through, and you'll hear people say, "Hey, you in the green! Hey, you in the green!" And we're all wearing green, so like you look like the guys that haven't been through it before know, like we don't know no better. We look, you know, or "Hey, you white boy, I'm gonna F you," or "Hey, ooh, that's a pretty one right there." You know, not saying that just to me, but to other people. They're trying to intimidate you, trying to see who's scared, who's weak. And some people just do it for fun. You're sitting in the cell all day. It's their way of getting recreation in, you know, because they're probably losing their mind sitting in that cell, but you are losing your mind. But I mean, you walk in, there's all you smell is burning paper, cigarette smoke, must, and you know, in the ceiling there's windows of this, you know, you look straight up, there's like windows that are on the ceiling, and some of them, I don't know if they crank open. I think they crank open. Some of them are broken, but I mean, this is probably about, oh, I don't know, 100 feet up in the air, 110 feet, 120 feet maybe. You know, there's birds flying in, you know, occasionally you'll see a mouse scurry across the floor. Especially at nighttime, there's gigantic cockroaches all over. There's trash on the floor. You know, it's just chaos, screaming. Oh, you know, you'll hear the blood guys going, "Protect," you know, doing their thing, and you know, people trying to see whose blood, like calling out to their people, you know, like seeing if anyone in that line is affiliated, and it is just an experience, you know. You get assigned your bunk, you're given a bedroll, and that's your first day in there. And it is, you know, once you get to the cell, that's the point. I'll go back to the whole stamps thing. That's the point where you can kind of unload your suitcase, so to speak, and you know, some of the porters, some people have already made it to commissary in there. You know, some people are fortunate. Some people don't make it to commissary in there because your money follows you from county. They usually like mail a check to the facility, I think, or I'm not sure entirely how that works, but it usually takes at least a couple days. Some people make it to commissary, some don't. So some people have tobacco for sale, or if they don't, on the block, when you go through the mess hall during chow, you can, you know, a lot of the guys that work in the kitchen, they sell pouches at top. You know, they'll see it. You'll see it sitting in their pocket. You know, that's their way of kind of advertising, like, "Hey, I got top," you know. And you can get it going through the mess hall line if no one on the block's got it. Say it's a dry moment, no one's hit a store yet. That's, you know, like I said, you get to your cell, you unload your package, and that's when you're on the prowl looking for your tobacco. But that's what your first day's like. It's pretty wild. It's pretty intimidating experience. You know, if the COs don't intimidate you, then the screaming and the chaos of walking into that cell block, seeing all those inmates, is enough to put a little apprehension and nervousness in you. But that's pretty much what it's like, and I hope y'all enjoyed this. Hopefully someone watches this that's been through Elmira. If you've been there before, comment. Tell me when you were there, how much time you did, you know, follow me, subscribe, like. Yeah, I'll be dropping more videos. I plan to do more of these. I need to get more consistent with them. But I hope y'all enjoyed this, and maybe we can get some more videos out there about the New York State prison system, because I feel like there's not enough on YouTube. So appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have a good day. I got to get back to work. I'm about to clean some windows here at this pizza place, Marco's Pizza. You know, my day job, well, I own a window cleaning business. It's not a job. That's how I make my money, and I got to get back to work here. So I hope y'all enjoyed this, and I hope y'all have a great day, and thank you for watching. Take care.